We begin this bizarre but hilarious movie with a news anchor talking about a show from 1985 called Evil Brat. Balthazar Brat was the star of the show, and children all over the world loved the show. The show got canceled because Brat had an unexpected growth spurt. Brat's career got ruined, and he began believing he was the character he played on television. Brat, a grown man and supervillain, stands on a boat with Clive, his robot accomplice. Brat dives into the water and swims to a ship. He uses his special bubblegum to take down the soldiers guarding the ship. In the Anti-Villain League headquarters, Silas Ramsbottom, director of the AVL, instructs agents in the area to get to the ship because Brat wants to steal the Dumont diamond, the largest diamond in the world. Brat destroys the safe housing the diamond and takes it. He uses his bubblegum to lift the ship while Gru and Lucy ride to the ship. Lucy propels Gru onto the ship while his minions land on a nearby beach. Gru confronts Brat and a fight ensues. Gru punches him and knocks him out. Brat gets up with a guitar and shoots energy at Gru from it. He then escapes as some agents approach him, and he tells Gru they will meet again. Later, Gru and Lucy drive to the secret entrance of the AVL. They enter the flying headquarters, and Ramsbottom announces his retirement to the agents. Valerie Da Vinci, the new director, steps on the stage and makes Ramsbottom get off the stage. She asks who Gru is and scolds him for letting Brat, their most wanted villain, get away. She fires Gru immediately, and Lucy tries to defend him but gets fired. Lucy and Gru get thrown out of the headquarters and parachute to the ground. Gru and Lucy return to their house, and Lucy asks Gru to tell their kids about their situation. They see their front door open and prepare themselves for battle as they enter. Gru and Lucy are suddenly blindfolded and taken to the back of the house. Margot, Edith, and Agnes, Gru and Lucy's adoptive kids, remove their blindfolds and show them a surprise. They remind Gru and Lucy that they didn't have a honeymoon, so they've prepared something for them in a tree house. Gru informs the girls that they lost their jobs and assures them they'll get new jobs soon. Gru gets a call from Mel and goes to talk to the minions. They celebrate as they think he will return to his villain ways, but Gru tells them he isn't going to be a villain. The minions get upset and abandon Gru. Dave and Jerry, two minions, enter the lab and aren't aware of what's happening. Gru welcomes them and says he has promoted them to be in charge of the lab. In Paris, Pompeu, a renowned gem expert, enters a museum where the Dumont diamond is kept and informs the people that Brat switched it with a fake. They give him access to the diamond, and he reveals that he is Brat in disguise. Brat knocks out the men and the guards and escapes with the diamond. Meanwhile, Lucy walks to Gru and talks to him. She sees that he's sad, and he calls himself a failure. Lucy cheers him up and tells him to look forward because things will get better. Gru steps out of his house the following morning and sees a newspaper that says Brat stole the Dumont diamond. A butler named Fritz approaches him and tries introducing himself, but Gru shoots him away. Fritz returns to Gru and tells him he has an identical twin brother named Drew, who wants to fly Gru and his family to Fredonia. Gru tells Fritz he doesn't have a brother, and Fritz shows him a picture of Gru and Drew as babies. Later, Gru goes to his mom and asks her about his brother. She tells him that his dad took Drew when they divorced, and they promised never to see each other again. Gru and his family fly to Fredonia and are amazed by Drew's large mansion. Fritz informs them that the family has the largest pig farm in Fredonia. Gru enters the house, sees Drew, and realizes he has long, silky hair. Drew compliments Lucy and the kids and shows them his car collection. Drew asks Fritz to take Lucy and the girls around Fredonia while he and Gru have some time alone. Meanwhile, Brad is in his lair with the diamond and plays with an action figure that resembles him. Drew takes Gru to his secret lair and tells him their family's true business is being villains. Drew shows Gru a picture of their dad and says he was the villain named Baaled Terror. Drew says their dad was proud of Gru before he died, but thought Drew was a disappointment. Drew begs Gru to teach him how to be a villain, but Gru refuses. He says he left his villain ways in the past, and Drew shows him their dad's supercar. They go on a joyride through Fredonia and evade the police as Drew steals some lollipops. Meanwhile, Lucy takes the kids to an event in the town and struggles as she learns to be a mum. She makes Lucy get on the stage and eat a boy named Nico's cheese. Agnes, the youngest child, enters a bar and sees a unicorn horn. The bartender tells her that only someone with a pure heart can find a unicorn. Meanwhile, the minions make their way into a movie set and enter a talent show. The police pursue them as they perform, and the audience enjoys their performance. The minions get arrested and sent to prison. Drew talks to Gru on a beach and convinces him to join him in one heist. Gru agrees and says he wants to steal the Dumont diamond. Drew agrees and celebrates with Gru as they plan a way to celebrate. Lucy and the girls have dinner in the house and wonder where Drew and Gru are. Drew and Gru enter and pretend to be each other. They laugh as they sit at the dining table and begin finishing each other's sentences. Lucy asks what they did during the day and they tell her they didn't do anything. Agnes finishes her food and rushes to get to bed. Edith tells Gru that Agnes thinks she'll find a unicorn the following day. Lucy tells Gru to tell Agnes the truth about unicorns, and he goes to her room. Gru talks to Agnes and tries telling her that unicorns aren't real. He sees her cute face and is unable to tell her. Gru tells her goodnight and leaves her room as she goes to bed. Meanwhile, the minions terrorize the inmates in prison. They realize they miss Gru and have a food fight in the cafeteria. Brat stays in his lair and works out. Clive asks him what they'll do next, and they watch an episode of his show where he uses his bubblegum and laser to lift a town into space. Edith follows Agnes into the forest as they search for a unicorn. Agnes drops a pile of candy on a rock and waits for the unicorn to take the bait. In Drew's lair, Gru makes a plan on how to steal the diamond from Brat's island. Gru instructs Drew to be the getaway driver and says it's a crucial role. Drew shows them their dad's villain suits, and they put the suits on. Meanwhile, Nico arrives at the house and says he is engaged to Margot because she ate his cheese. Lucy asks him to leave, and Margot complains that Lucy is embarrassing her. Nico returns with his mother, and she curses Lucy and Margot for rejecting Nico's engagement. Lucy stands up for Margot and threatens Nico and his mum. She asks them to leave, and Margot hugs her. Edith and Agnes wait for the unicorn. A goat with a broken horn emerges, and Agnes calls it a unicorn. Drew and Gru begin their mission, and Gru's actual motive for the haste is to return the diamond and get his and Lucy's jobs back. Gru and Drew arrive at the island, but Drew refuses to be the getaway driver and follows Gru. They make their way into the building and try to take the diamond from Brat, but he wakes up. Brat walks to his lab with the diamond, and Drew and Gru quietly follow him. They pass a wall of his action figures and enter his lab. Gru and Drew realize that Brat is building a giant robot. Drew chokes on Brat's special bubble gum, and Gru uses it to trap Brat. He takes the diamond, and they run away as Brat activates the action figures. The action figures attack Drew and Gru, but they narrowly escape and are stuck on a ledge. Lucy saves them as they fall to the spikes. Gru shows her the diamond and says they'll take it to the AVL. Lucy flies them to the house, and Gru gets into an argument with Drew. Drew complains that Gru lied to him, and Gru calls him a screw-up. He tells Drew that their dad was disappointed in him because he never achieved anything meaningful. Gru meets Agnes and the others and informs Agnes that the goat isn't a unicorn. He apologizes and says sometimes life gives people goats when you want unicorns. Agnes decides to remain happy with her goat. Lucy walks down the stairs and takes the diamond from Gru. She walks into the plane with the girls, removes the disguise, and reveals herself to be Brat. Gru finds Lucy locked in a closet, and she tells him that Brat kidnapped the kids. Gru rushes to Drew and informs him that Brat kidnapped the kids. Drew, Gru, and Lucy fly to reach Brett and the kids. They pass Mel and the other minions, who escaped prison in a makeshift aircraft. Brat emerges from the ocean in his giant robot and goes to Hollywood. He shoots giant bubble gums that begin to swell like balloons. Brat places the girls on a building and makes them watch as he terrorizes the city. Gru and the others arrive, and Drew says Brat wants to send the city into space. Brat powers his laser using the diamond and shoots at the city. Lucy sees the girls in the building and tells Drew and Gru to take care of Brat while she saves them. Drew and Gru shoot Brat's robot with their missiles. Brat sends the action figures to attack them, and they destroy the flying car. Gru lands on the ground, and Drew sticks to Brat's robot and climbs into it. Lucy saves the kids, and they run to safety. Brat tries to destroy Gru using the laser, but Drew gets into the robot and removes its control chip, causing it to shut down and destroy. Gru rushes to the robot to find Drew, and Brat confronts him with his energy guitar. Gru and Brat get into a dance fight, and Gru splits Brat's hair. He dances with Brat, and Brat pushes him away. Brat reaches for his energy guitar, but doesn't find it. He sees Gru holding it, and Gru plays at him. The energy tears off Brat's clothes and pushes him away. Meanwhile, the minions use dynamite to deflate one of the bubbles, sending them flying. Gru rushes to the rubble in search of Drew, but Drew meets him, and they hug. Lucy and the others arrive, and they all embrace Gru. The minions land beside Gru and celebrate as they return to being his minions. That night, Lucy checks up on the kids, and Agnes tells her she loves her as Lucy covers her with a blanket. Lucy walks out of the room and celebrates that she's successfully a mother. Gru and Drew play with the minions, and Lucy reminds Gru they have to work the following day because they got reinstated into the AVL. Gru tells Drew that he shouldn't be a villain again. He tells Drew he loves him as he walks out of the room, and Drew and the minions go to bed. Drew wakes the minions, and they steal Gru's rocket-powered aircraft. Gru and Lucy rush out of the house and see them. Drew tells them that someone has to continue their family tradition and flies away. Lucy says they should go after them, and Gru says they should give him a 5-minute head start. The end. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.